Welcome to the School Garden Podcast with Mary Jo and Anne. No matter where you are in your school garden journey, whether you are an experienced garden teacher, a novice parent helper, or a struggling home educator, we are here to help you and your kiddos in your garden space. Come and dig in with us because school gardens matter. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks very much on the back of the last one. The last one we did was talking about sowing seeds outside. If you have sown seeds outside, then this is very much for you, because for this 10-minute quick dig, Anne's going to talk us through thinning and the exercise of pinching out and thinning out newly germinated seeds. So Anne, let's dig in for our 10-minute quick dig.
I'm ready. So I love that time of year, Mary Jo, when you get lots and lots of baby sprouts filling a bed, and it's so gratifying. But if we don't thin or remove some of those plants, we're not going to get the growth we want.
Correct.
It's a hard skill to utilize and with our kids, but it's an important one. So why do we need to thin our plants? So thinning plants ensures that they have space to grow. In addition to light, soil, water, sun, and carbon dioxide, plants need space to become healthy, mature plants. If we leave them unthinned, crowded seedlings compete for these nutrients, for the water and air and root space. It stunts their growth. They never reach their full potential.
That's right. And you look at the packets, don't you, and it goes 18 inches apart, and you're like, what? So you throw the seeds in, don't you? And then when you see a fully matured plant or crop, you go, yeah, that's right.
So when do you want to thin? So thinning should be done pretty early so that the remaining plants have room to develop properly. So watch for a couple things. Sprouts need to be at least 2 or 3 inches tall and have actual true leaves.
It's a true leaf.
So fun fact, the first things that you often see when the sprouts break the soil surface are not true leaves. They're what's called the cotyledon. And while it looks like a very first baby leaves, it's a tiny part of the seed that provides food for the new plant until it can make its own food through photosynthesis.
It's so funny when you explain that to the kid, that you go, those first leaves, the cotyledon is actually the seed.
Yes.
But it's fascinating, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how to thin these plants.
Oh.
When I thin, I tend to do it on a day when I have 3 stations going in the garden. One group might be digging in a bed, getting it ready to plant, or looking for animal lives in the soil. Another might be reading or completing a journal entry, and the third group is with me to learn how to thin. I gather them around a bed and ask for their observations of the plants in the bed. What do they notice? What do they wonder about? At one point, someone usually mentions they're really close together, and then I pounce on that idea. I explain, as I said, that plants need the space just like we need space to be healthy and to grow, and we have to help these plants grow fully.
So funny, I get all the kids to huddle together and I go, okay, for the rest of the day, you're going to share one packed lunch. You're going to sit on one chair. You're going to drink one juice box, and kind of explain it like that, you know.
That's great.
Yes, you know, that little exercise for context for them, you know, and to make them feel better about what they're about to do.
Exactly. So once again, I use their fingers as informal measuring tools and ask them to put their index and middle finger together. That's how much space we need to have between each plant to start. They choose a plant, put their fingers next to it, and any plants under their fingers have to be removed. It's at this moment that their faces turn up to me and they have looks of abject terror or pure disappointment to show they've lost all trust in me and my goodness in the garden. I usually have to explain again why we have to thin.
Honestly, even when you're saying that, I'm holding my heart because it's the worst.
It is. It truly is.
I think thinning is the hardest concept to share with new gardens. And I think actually adults are even worse about this, you know. They can't bear to kill something that they've spent weeks rearing and willing into existence. But it's just got to be done. Otherwise, nothing will grow well. Kids get over it quite quickly, actually, a lot quicker than, say, adults. Mercenaries. But actually, thinning as an activity is a really great exercise to have in your garden, and it provides a lot of good tasks for schools, especially where there are lots of children using the garden space. Thinning takes a long time sometimes, and if you've got lots of it to be done, it really keeps kids engaged and on task for a long time. And it's such a great skill, that fine motor skill, that pinching, the measuring, the focus, the concentration. It actually, you know, I would oversee just for that reason.
So to help with this process, here's a couple things you can do with your kids. Have a small bowl with you that they can place all the small sacrificial plants into. You can wash them thoroughly, check with your district about your cleaning policies for food, and let them have a tasting later that day. Most plant leaves in the garden, including beets and carrots, are edible, as are baby lettuce and spinach and chard plants. Some plants, non-root crops, can be transplanted. If they pull up a plant and it has the root, they can make a small hole in an adjacent area and transplant that baby plant.
Yeah.
Root crops don't do really well with that because they have a tap root and they don't tend to grow. There are times I let kids replant the carrots and I just never tell them. For my students listening, please delete that part. They can put their thin plants in the compost bin where they can decompose, giving food to our worms and then compost to our soil next year. Once the lamenting is over, they can begin to thin, picking one plant, placing 2 fingers next to it, and either pulling the plants out that are underneath with their fingers, or they can cut the plants that they're taking out with kid scissors.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works better because it doesn't disturb the roots of the plants that we're leaving.
Okay.
I usually take old scissors from teachers at the end of the year that don't work well on paper, and that becomes my class set for the next year.
Yeah. I quite often tell the children it's kind of like a wobbly tooth. Do you know what I mean? And not just to go in and yank, but to kind of twiddle it around a little bit, to kind of move it around, because you do not want to be disturbing the roots of the one next to it, very close to it. So that kind of teasing it out usually works as well. But that wobbly tooth is kind of a neat little thing that they kind of understand.
That is a helpful analogy. I like that too. Now, sometimes you notice you may need to thin again a few weeks later as the plants begin to get bigger and continue in that space.
Okay. That was really great. I really enjoyed that 10-minute quick dig into thinning, and we hope that your seeds sprouted and that you're in some position to go out there and do a little bit of thinning with your kids. So happy thinning.
And let us know what other garden skill topics might be a good fit for these 10-minute quick digs. Thanks for listening, and for another fun edition, Outtakes. Here are a few outtakes from our recent How to Start a School Garden episode, which we actually recorded in my closet.
Please don't judge us. We are experts.
We've heard all the best podcasters record in the closet. I think it's like getting hot in here, so it's like by the time we'll be in our bras.
I am genuinely sitting next to shoes and Anne's husband's shirts. But it's fabulous. We can never record in my closet, put it that way. But okay, you can be the judge of the sound quality. Do Anne and I belong in a closet?
Isn't that funny that I'm telling you to slow down?
I mentioned earlier that idea of a journey of 1,000 miles in, delirious times. There's no oxygen in this delirium. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hit the follow button on your podcast platform of choice. And share us with a friend, please. Also, we'd love for you to rate us and leave a comment as well. As always, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Made Green, or visit us at our website, www.madegreenwithane.com. Details of today's shows and other resources are in our show notes. Any proceeds from affiliate links shared help fund our school garden programs. We look forward to seeing you next time on the School Garden Podcast.